Hey guys, welcome back to yet another podcast. This is the Untitled, Titled, and Progress podcast. Actually, no. We actually don't have a name for this podcast, so it's just like Untitled, Titled, and Progress podcast. You tip.
I like that.
Yeah.
Untitled podcast. That's a great title.
Anyways, I'm David Clare.
Brandon Thomas, sorry.
Benjamin Weir.
I'm still at the bank.
Yeah, it's still it's Weir, W-E-I-R. No, E-I-R.
Social Security.
Yeah. So, what?
All right, so we're getting into the news. Welcome to the news. And Brian, take it away.
All right. So, first and foremost, High School Musical has now announced that they're going to have a TV show that will be on Disney's streaming service in 2019. This new streaming service has already been announced for a while of Disney's, and they're trying to set it up as a TV show that's going to be like High School Musical, but it will have none of the same cast members to my knowledge right now. It's not going to have any of the original ones.
And what's the point of, like, I feel like all we really want is, like, Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens on screen. Like,
but we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be kind of like the new shows they have now with drama, like Andy Mack and all that kind of stuff. And
prime television. So good.
They're going to go more towards like that kind of drama, but also having the music aspect. Kind of like a younger version of Glee, I feel like is what they're kind of
I feel like they're still going to try to get like our age demographic because we're the...
I agree.
I may or may not have had an audition for one of these roles, so I have seen a couple of sides. So I do know it's going to be more geared towards our age demographic, while it is still in the same vein of trying to keep the like a young Glee audience.
I wonder how they decide like if it's going to be on Disney or Freeform, because it kind of, I feel like...
Yeah, well, it's going to be on the Disney streaming service.
That's true, so I guess
Plug, episode 2. So that'll be interesting, because I'm curious how they're going to try to, if they're going to try to get all the age demographics there, or just a specific... age group.
And still going with Disney. Also, Chris Evans has officially wrapped and he is done with the Avengers and the Marvel Universe. So that is pretty much the end of Chris Evans as Captain America for us in the Marvel Universe.
He's actually already signed a contract to come back as a Fantastic Four Human Torch. He played such a great role there.
No, he's done so. He's been saying that for a while.
Yeah.
But
you can take over.
Also, in the news, Fast and Furious, there's a Fast and Furious spinoff. Hobbs and Shaw has been announced. What's actually kind of interesting about this is that, like, Fast and Furious, I feel like no one really... I never pay attention to them, but they actually make a ton of, like, revenue. Like,
I've seen a couple of them.
They make a ton of revenue, and this is why, like, I think the last one made $1 billion. Like, it was that much revenue.
It was really big, especially after the death of Paul Walker, and then coming out with that. It's kind of like
So basically, Fast and Furious has weirdly become very popular. So Hobbs and Shaw is getting a spinoff. James Gunn is back directing from being fired from Marvel. He originally directed Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. He got fired because of some political scandal, something like that. He's working on a film called Brightburn. It's a horror film, from what I believe, from what I read. So that'd be interesting. See good old James Gunn come back. What?
Also, a fun fact for you. I'm pretty sure it's James Gunn's brother actually did the motion capturing for Rocket Raccoon in both Guardians of the Galaxy. So if you didn't know that.
Wow.
Pretty sure that's true. So you can look it up on IMDb if you don't know. And if you don't know what IMDb is, look it up. So yeah. Anyway.
The middle TV show. So I was. But we go to parties all the time.
Was that your line?
Yeah, that was line.
I've never seen that episode. Okay, I was in the middle all the time, and then as soon as I met David, for whatever reason, was exactly when I stopped watching it. I always hear that David has this like scene in the middle, and I've tried to find it and haven't been able to find it.
There's the middle TV show. It ended. I was an episode of it, so that's what I was just quoting. One of my one lines in the show. But they're coming off with a spin-off called the Untitled Sue Hex.
That is a good title.
The Untitled Sue Heck spin-off. That's just what it's called right now, but it's based on Sue Heck, obviously. Also in the news, Netflix is opening up 8 sound stages in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so basically they're essentially moving all of their production to New Mexico because New Mexico is offering them $14.5 million in tax incentives. So $10 million from the state of New Mexico, $4.5 million from the city of Albuquerque. And so this is actually a trend that's been going on. Georgia brought a lot of entertainment to Atlanta. Texas was doing it at first, but then the legislature is like, nah, fam. So they brought some in, but now it's kind of dissipating. And New Mexico is doing it now. This is also because Los Angeles, or California in general, has high costs, high taxes, rest in peace. So a lot of them are trying to make up for that cost, and states are giving them incentives, and so now they're moving everywhere. Also, there's a Fantasy Island reboot, which is a TV show from the 70s starring Michael Pena. Am I saying that right? Pena.
There's like a little tilde. over his-
Pino.
Pena. Yeah.
He's starring as Mr. Rourke.
Michael Pena, by the way, he was the guy in Ant-Man that does like the funny voice of like, yo, I was talking to this girl and you're doing this thing. Yeah, that's Michael
Oh,
Pena.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you didn't know that.
That's he's Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
So also in the news, TNT ordered Ridley Scott show Raised by Wolves and is to be directed by him. Ridley Scott always has good stuff. He did The Martian, if you guys didn't know about
really
that.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really good.
baby, come on.
Yeah.
And then Dresden Files, it's a book series. It's a fantasy book series written by, rest in peace, I'm forgetting his name, but I can see his face. Has been optioned by Fox.
Just put his face on there. Here's his face.
That's going to be coming to you
This is what I
right
was
now.
seeing in my head.
Right now. It's optioned by Fox and is in production. So basically, my thing with this is that it's like a great like fantasy series. It's praised by the fantasy community. But Fox has had recently a very poor history with like making book to film adaptations. Case in point being The Darkest Minds.
Did that already come out?
It already came out and no one saw it. It was the biggest
I
box
didn't see
office, one of the biggest box office
Didn't
flops
Fox do
of all
Percy
time.
Jackson too?
I
I
also thought they did Fifth Wave, and that was also
Oh,
no.
that
Fifth
was
Wave was not intriguing to me at all.
Really?
Even in the middle
The
of
books
the
were
whole
great.
dystopian,
It was just
whatever
like-
stuff, I was like,
I
I
thought
don't
it was a really interesting concept.
I thought it was interesting concept. It was just poor execution, and so that's the thing. But they also did X-Men, so it's like
Yeah.
it's just whether or not you're gonna get the good side or the bad side. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Dresden Files, if you guys don't know, it's about like a detective who has basically like magical superpowers, and he does a bunch of stuff.
Sounds like Constantine.
Yep.
Has there
and that
seen
turned out really well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Brandon, you can take the rest.
Okay, so yeah, back on the side of Disney's streaming service again. I guess I just really like Disney's streaming service, you know. Monsters Inc. is now getting a series, which there's not much information right now as regarding the TV show and what they're going to be doing. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do, especially since it's animated. Like, is it going to be... Like, what quality of animation kind of thing is it going to be?
Well, have you seen How to Train Your Dragon, the TV series
Oh, no, I
show?
haven't.
They did decent with that,
Yeah,
really.
didn't
They did really good with that. Like,
Yeah.
okay, it's not gonna be the same quality, but pretty
Yeah.
high quality. And
Well,
then also,
considering the
that's
movie's like
true.
one of the best like animated movies.
considering
true.
Star
Yeah.
Wars is the Star Wars: The Clone Wars is an animated show,
That's
and
true.
Disney's reproducing it. It's actually really high quality animation.
Yeah,
So
so I guess it'll be pretty nice.
yeah,
I didn't think about that. But yeah, so I'm interested to see what that's going to be like. Also, regarding Disney, they just released a bunch of new teaser trailers. They did Aladdin. The teaser trailer was pretty short, but it looks like it's still pretty keeping hold to the animated version of Aladdin. There's a whole scene of him like going up to get the genie. What is it called?
Lamp?
The
lamp.
lamp.
Yes, that's what it's called.
The lamp.
That
Yeah.
doesn't look like a lamp, but you know.
You got
it's a-
lamps.
So he's like going up to get it. So it still looks like it's holding true to Aladdin. And then also with that, they just released Toy Story 4 and 2 new teaser trailers, which was very interesting to me. I actually didn't really like either of them.
I didn't know.
They were weird, like really weird to me. And like Forky seems very weird. I don't know. I'll probably love it in the end, honestly, because Disney makes a lot of good
Pixar
movies.
does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
The thing
Yeah,
is, though,
Pixar's
they've
had some
taken some
misses.
L's.
I think
Case-
their biggest win was Coco, though. That was
Coco was
awesome. I
amazing.
loved that one.
I loved
I
It
don't
was
know
like
if it made money.
I don't know.
probably,
I don't
not
know,
like
but in terms of like
lot.
a great film, like that was one of
Coco's
their
really good.
actual best films,
Yeah.
I think.
Then again, there is Cars 2 and 3 out there, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for Toy Story
I feel
4,
like
they
there's a
had
Cars
2
4,
teaser
but
trailers.
maybe not.
And I don't know.
I just had it in my head that there was a Cars 4. I think I just lost count after like Cars 1 I enjoyed.
It's probably like all of Mater's like tunes that he did. His little side stories. It's
Mater-
like Cars 4,
Oh my
Cars
gosh.
2.5.
Fucking Mater's Garage.
So yeah, Toy Story 4 it looks interesting. They actually added Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele. That's his name. They are actually going to be in the movies. If you don't know them, they're from Comedy Central. Key and Peele have a ton of like sketch comedies and stuff, and they are not that clean. So it's kind of interesting that they're putting them in an animated kids movie, and so I'm interested to see how that's going to be as well. Disney, in the form of Marvel, has announced that they're canceling Iron Fist and Luke Cage. Both of these shows were on Netflix at the time, and they are both being canceled. I saw like the first episode of Luke Cage, and then I got halfway through the first season of Iron Fist. I kind of thought it was slow, but I thought it was like very well done, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it just like wasn't as intriguing for me. And I know people that like started the second season and watched it. I'm pretty sure it was 2 seasons, and they like loved it. And so I'm same for like Luke Cage, and then having the Defenders and stuff. So it's kind of shocking that they're canceling those to me, but maybe it's just because they're gonna go in a different direction, because like all the new reboots that, or not reboots, but the new stuff that they're going into.
Yeah, and I think it was not Disney that canceled them because they had a contract.
Oh, really?
But it was Netflix that canceled them.
Oh, okay.
So I think they're also preparing for the whole Disney streaming service and trying to.
Okay.
I don't know what it is with that, but that's the first.
That's true.
It's the first Marvel-based TV show that they've ever canceled. Or Iron Fist and Luke Cage did it within 1 week of each other.
I didn't realize that it was like Netflix that had done it.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting, because that is true. Yeah, they're like about to have like this major divide between what is Netflix and what is Disney's streaming service.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be interesting, especially because Disney continues to add new stuff each time that I look at Netflix. It's like, oh, they added another Pirates of the Caribbean on here. Why are they doing this? Just to like rip it away? But I feel like maybe it's like to entice them. And then they're going to be like, if you want more of this, you have to come to our streaming service. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Done.
All right. So we talked a lot about Star Wars in the first podcast. And
we're talking about it again.
Just a little bit this time. So Star Wars Boba Fett is officially no longer in production. Rest in peace. My dreams of having like the short story like compilation. I don't know. I was never like super stoked for the Boba Fett movie.
I feel like I wanted Kenobi so much more.
Kenobi would have been great. Kenobi. Hello there. But I mean, I don't know. I was never that stoked for Boba Fett. Really?
No, like it was
in my mind, like
Boba
Boba Fett kind of in the movies. Like I'm sure if you're watching them as they were coming out, like Boba Fett probably seemed super cool and like mysterious. But when you watch all 3 in a row for the very first time and you see him like just kind of get killed off, like really in the span of one day, it probably doesn't seem that cool.
Kind of like Captain Phasma, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for she got killed
we never
twice.
thought she was cool.
You never thought Captain Phasma was cool?
I never thought
she gets
that.
owned every time.
What?
The only one that was cool in the first movie is the one who like has the whatever thing goes traitor. That's the only guy. That Stormtrooper was super cool. Like he got super hyped.
They need to have a solo anthology film for him.
Yes.
Like
Traitor.
That's the name of it.
It would be. I
Traitor.
feel like they could do like honestly they could do like a
book.
5-minute
Do
short.
really?
No.
They have a book.
That's so dumb. I'm right here advocating for them to like do like a 5-minute thing, and then you're like they have a book, and I'm being happy. I'm like that's stupid.
It's not just it's like Finn going through the thing, but like the main second character is the guy who goes traitor.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Because like imagine if there was like a story of how they were like bros, before, and now he's like a traitor to him.
Yeah,
Like,
and you can really see that emotion in Finn's face as he's like, "What's a lightsaber?" That's what like,
Exactly.
I feel like it's not really built up for that. Okay.
Oh.
This is something I really don't care that much about, but Johnny Depp is out of Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's a big deal.
That's a
Or
big
Caribbean. I think it's Caribbean.
Both.
That is a huge deal. I've never loved those movies that much.
Wow, that is right.
Coming up next time, we're gonna have some kind of big discussion about Pirates of the Caribbean.
I literally have. Me and David sat down and watched all of them.
We watched
all of them.
I would enjoy
I decided after watching all the Pirates of the Caribbean that the first 3 is my favorite trilogy of movies that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because they're that good. Honestly, I think
you just
they're
don't like
that good.
episode 4 that much of Star Wars.
No, okay, episode 4 is okay. It's just not like amazing. That's in my opinion.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sorry, I'm just not huge on it.
And like Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp leaving is like
Johnny Depp is a great
the
actor. He's all
Johnny Depp is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah, so basically, what's going on with this, I think Johnny Depp just doesn't really fit the Disney brand right now. And it sounds like they're actually going to kind of go somewhere different with the franchise, so I don't think we're done with Pirates of the Caribbean.
I don't think they're...
But it's also kind of like, this is probably the end of what we've had so far. I'm sure maybe they'll have one returning character or something like that. Just
Well, I mean, they have all of the... They have Orlando Bloom. They have whatchamacallit. They have the 2 children.
All of them are going to be in the new one?
I mean,
Are they on
they
course
set
or
it
what?
up. I don't know if they are, but, like... I'm assuming they are, because the next one's in production. I think they just booted out him.
Yeah.
Oh,
but,
wow.
yeah, the new writers didn't do there was new writers that replaced them, because the original 3 writers had done the whole 1 through 4 Stranger's Tides, and they had left the outline, essentially, for the next 2 films, and so they followed it, but, like...
Changed it.
They kind of, like, they didn't write in the characters well.
Yeah. If you guys... Something for you to do, if you want to, watch 4 and then watch 5 and just compare Johnny Depp's, like, in both of them. It's very different. Like, David pointed that out to me, and it's so true. Like, you get a different version of Johnny Depp.
Yeah, there's no character motivation in the 5th one, whereas Johnny Depp has, or whatever, Jack Sparrow's always had character motivation throughout all the other ones.
Lonely Island did, like, a really great, like, Jack Sparrow. I don't know if y'all are gonna... I don't know if anyone understands that. Okay. Don't watch that. Also, interestingly for Johnny Depp, currently Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, like Dose, came out like, I guess this week. Not doing too hot at the box office.
Yeah.
Honestly, that kind of makes sense to me. The first one was actually really cool, but I don't know that it was like... Here's the thing with prequels. I don't know that the second prequel is ever going to be good, right? Star Wars, right? The second prequel. I'm sorry to hammer on you there, but the second Star Wars prequel, awful. Second Fantastic Beasts prequel, apparently pretty bad. But if they do the third one, then we know it's gonna be, you know, the trend of Revenge of the Sith. So highly memeable. Like the memes coming out of the third Fantastic Beasts is gonna be way higher, right? So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Another Star Wars thing. Okay, Star Wars announced a new TV show. It's based on Cassian Andor from Rogue One. Okay, so if you saw Rogue One, where you kind of thought that, oh, well, of course she's Rey's mother. She's right there. And then she dies in the end. You're like, oh, never mind. Right? It was definitely what my mom thought, I think.
Really?
I think my mom was like, oh, that's Rey's mother, right? I'm like, she died on the beach. Okay. But, so Cassian Andor was the guy who's like, you kind of thought he'd be like this love interest, and then they both get incinerated.
I loved that.
Yeah, I mean, it was good.
The fact that they didn't even like, did they hold hands? They didn't even
they were
like,
just kind of hugging
they
each
didn't
other.
even, no, they didn't like hug or
There's
kiss
no
or anything.
romance.
It was
I
just
thought it was just kind of like,
we're
I
ending
kind
this
of thought it was
together.
like a
Little bro.
It's a bro moment.
It's a bro moment.
Just bros being
Yeah.
bros as they get incinerated.
Anyway, but so Cassian Andor is gonna have a new TV show. Again, that will be on the Disney streaming service. All right, so who knows what that's gonna be like? Here's what I think. I don't really care about all these Rebels things. Han Solo's cool. I like that movie. Okay, I like anything that comes from before Han Solo because we see the rebellion like basically get started through like the selling off the crystals or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So anything before that, cool to me. Anything after episode 6, cool. Anything before episode 1, cool. I literally do not care about the rebellion anymore. They're all dead. Princess
They're all
Leia,
dead. Okay,
they're all
I
dead.
slaughtered all
They're
of
all
them.
dead. Let the past die. All right.
Okay. All right, we're moving into the next segment, which is the topic of discussion.
What did you say we're doing today, Johnny? We're having a topic of discussion today, so buckle up.
And so we're kind of go back to the Johnny Depp thing. We kind of covered it, so we won't talk about it a little bit more. But it's Pirates of the Caribbean. How we'll be able to stand on its own 2 legs without Johnny Depp. I think. Oh, rest in peace. Just
It's not there. It's not
Yes. Yes.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
No,
What are you talking about?
ignore the background for the rest of the episode, please.
Yeah.
I want to know what the update is.
Anyways, Pirates of the Caribbean how will stand on its own 2 legs without Johnny Depp being there. I think they should just wait a good 5 years. I think 5 years is better than like a good amount of period of time. Reboot it, and you can completely just reboot the series and keep some of the characters and some of the plot threads that were there. But then at the same time, you can completely bring new characters, bring new life to it, because Johnny Depp, when he's gone, I mean, the Disney ride, the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, has Johnny Depp at every single thing. He is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say that earlier. Like, they didn't add... I'm forgetting her name right now. What's the... Elizabeth, right?
Elizabeth!
Add Elizabeth or... I'm forgetting Orlando Bloom's name right now as well.
Will.
But, yeah, Will. Elizabeth and Will. They didn't add them to the ride. They added Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow. And so it shows that, like, he is, like, the focus of the whole series, you know? So, and they did 2 movies practically without Elizabeth or Will. And it was okay. Like, 4 was decent, and then 3 was not as... Or 5 was not as good. But...
Hold on.
So I think they could... But I agree, like, it should have some time.
Why reboot it? Why? Why does everything have to get rebooted? I'm so tired of these reboots of things I don't even like.
Money, Ben. You don't
It's not gonna bring that much money, you think?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
See, I would
Without
like...
Johnny Depp?
Okay,
Without, like, Johnny Depp is the draw of it.
we just talked about
right?
Fast and Furious, right?
Yeah.
I don't watch those either.
Exactly,
But they do make
but
money.
they make
but
money.
with who? With who?
They're on Fast and Furious 8, and this will be, what, not, like, the 9th? I don't know. I
People
mean...
literally, like, trash on all of the DC movies, right? They make money. They make money.
Yeah.
Proportionality is not.
It's not
They're
as
still
great,
making money,
but they would
though.
get rid of it if it weren't making money.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's kind of our opinion on that. We're gonna move to the next topic of discussion, which is Netflix canceling Marvel shows in preparation for Disney's streaming service?
Yes.
How will the Marvel television universe be affected from this transition phase? So basically, Netflix canceled Luke Cage and Iron Fist, but there's still like a lot more. Like you got the Punisher, you've got like all of the
Jessica Jones.
Agents
still
of
has one.
Shield. I mean, you have. Well, I mean, Agents of Shield is. I don't know. It's still on there.
Yeah.
Like it says,
There's one more.
there was the Agent Carter got canceled though, right?
Daredevil.
Daredevil's still doing good.
Yeah,
So-
they just
I
released.
think
They
they had
just
a-
released their new season.
I think that hot season 3 was good.
Yeah, and so I mean, all these shows are like have a lot of viewers.
Yeah.
Like they're a pretty big audience, and so it's like right now with Disney gonna be moving over here, all the future Marvel TV shows are
Yeah.
gonna be on Disney streaming service, whereas the remaining will be there. So how do you guys think that's gonna affect? Because they can't they'd have to cancel it then completely reboot it over.
The thing
on
is,
Disney.
none of the Marvel television shows even made it into Infinity War. You know what I mean? And that's literally like the big crossover thing. And so, I don't know. I assume it. I'm not saying it's irrelevant, but it's also kind of like none of them wound up relevant when it came time to watching Infinity War.
Are they? So they're in the
Which
same
is the most
universe,
ambitious
right?
crossover event.
Yep.
in
They're in the
history.
same universe, right?
Oh my word!
Yeah, they're in the same
It's in the
universe.
same
Confirmed.
So how is Daredevil? How did they just have a new season if Thanos already snapped? You know.
I mean, timelines.
I
don't
guess
know.
they could be at a different time.
Yeah,
but
It's
I
probably
don't know.
it's probably after
Because
it's probably,
Agents of-
took place before that.
Agents of Shield reacted to the Shield becoming was Hydra. They had
Yeah.
to react to that.
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
And then they
Agents of
actually-
Shield is the only one that's actually integrated well. Like I think in Daredevil they kind of talk about the fight over New York and how it like crippled the city or something, you know?
Yeah.
And like the like kind of like underground like Hell's Kitchen or whatever it becomes like. Is that
Yeah,
what
it's all in Hell's Kitchen.
It's
That's
called
what it's
Hell's
called.
Kitchen.
Yes.
Or is that just Gordon Ramsay? I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
what it's called. No, but yeah. So my 2 cents about it. I think that. What was the question? I think that they'll probably start making new TV series kind of things as well, and then possibly I could see them doing like another Defenders thing, and then that'll be just on their streaming service now, and kind of like combining them all for like a final thing and send off. But my big question is, are they gonna make a Kick Buttowski new streaming? You know what I mean? Like
You know, it was actually one of the most
they need to
popular
reboot.
shows.
They need to reboot everything. So they need to reboot Kick Buttowski.
Phineas and
But I
Ferb
want a
reboot.
live action version.
Phineas and Ferb reboot.
That
Why not?
That's good.
No,
live
the last
action
season-
Phineas and Ferb.
How do you
get a
how do
guy
you
with
get
a
the
triangle
casting? How do you get the casting for that?
Yeah.
I feel like honestly that would be less difficult than trying to get someone that has like a sideways T for a head like Ferb. You know, like his nose. It's like a.
That Kick Buttowski thing was so. Theme song. Okay. Always plug. Okay.
Anyway.
All right, we're moving to the next segment.
Versus.
All right, Brandon is now moderator because this is me versus
Okay.
David.
I've already got 2 dubs under my belt.
Belt?
Go to belt.
Gosh.
So I've already got 2 dubs, so I can't get a third in a row. That'd be just a trifecta. I'd be like the Golden State Warriors. Anyway, so we're gonna have Ben and David go against each other, and the topic of it today is going to be what book or book series would be a good film or TV adaptation. So, David, you can go first.
I'm gonna take it away. Okay, so this is a the series I'm gonna choose is called the Wheel of Time series. It's a 14-book long series, and so but it's pretty solid. So basically, think it's a fantasy series, and it's basically in the vein of Tolkien. The base concept of it is it starts out in the same vein that's familiar with Tolkien, but it grows out into this whole completely different thing that's completely different from Lord of the Rings. So it has the basic light versus dark thing. It has like the nobles and the lower class. It has all the aristocracy stuff that is very interesting. The kind of like almost think of like the Game of Thrones factor, but also add like the element of like magic and then this and that to it. So kind of think like the Harry Potter like stuff you get. Like there was a 7-movie long thing. It had all this world building and all this like interesting
8 movies.
concept. 8.
There's 2 at the end.
So just like take that kind of stuff and then like expand it into that. And so that's just like think like a Tolkien Game of Thrones mashup with like the magic that you could even find in it's not like Harry Potter, but you know, like you can have that same like thing. Like there's a place where people they learn how to do whatever, and there's like different side stories. It's actually really interesting. It's actually really complex, but in a good way. It's like simplistically complex, so there's a lot of pieces moving, but it's like you can follow it, and there's a big cast of characters. A lot of action, and it's simple in that like it's travel log, so it's like point A to point B and everything that happens in between. So kind of like if you Harry Potter, I believe it's like within the span of a year, right?
Yeah.
So stuff like that. It's gonna be simple to follow, but at the same time it has like a really good foundation for like entertainment because there's a lot of action. It's fantasy. There's swords. It's the next big genre. Wink, wink. Plug for episode 1 of the podcast. And so yeah, I think that would be a pretty solid option. That's kind of just the basic sales pitch right there.
I have one question for you, but I'll ask after Ben
Here we go.
goes.
Okay, are you gonna like? Okay, here we go. So, what book or book series would be a good film TV adaptation? My suggestion would be. It is called All the Light We Cannot See. Is by Anthony Doerr, Doerr. So I read this book. It was actually nice. I've
Oh, there's a virus! There's a virus! No! You guys can't see it behind me. You can't see it. It's okay.
So anyway, so great book. Actually, Pulitzer Prize winning book. By actually one of the best probably prose writers coming out of like the current age of literature, which is kind of interesting because like I always read about like, oh yeah, so and so like Wordsworth, you know, prose and all this other stuff. But now I'm kind of like I've read 2 of his books. One of them was amazing.
Grace, right?
The other one was called About Grace.
About Grace,
which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed that one. But yeah, All the Light We Cannot See, amazing book set pretty much from I want to say 1938 to 1945. So it kind of follows 2 characters. Which is nice. So it follows 2 main characters.
We're back.
I couldn't even tell you their names right now. But one of them is German, and so he starts out, I think he's about 13 years old, right? And, blonde hair, right? And so he winds up being, like, really gifted, like, with, like, technology and stuff. It's kind of cool. Like,
it's in the 40s?
Yeah, 30s,
so during
40s.
World War II?
Yeah, so during World War II.
Okay.
So Hitler's in power, Third Reich, all that stuff. And so he kind of like, basically, they find out he's got this talent with like, you know, like radio and technology and like, kind of like the stuff that would have been happening back then, right? And so they actually put him in one of like the top, like engineering schools, basically. Yeah, I know. And so they put him in like this engineering school. Really cool to see like it from the perspective of like a boy just growing up through the Third Reich, because you have to remember like, yeah, there were like a lot of like very evil people, you know, in the Third Reich and like going through Germany, but you also had a lot of people who like really, at some point the tide was just going so strong that like how do you fight against that, especially as a 13-year-old. So that was kind of cool, and you kind of see like his deal there. And then there's a second character. So all the light we cannot see. So the second character is actually a blind girl who lives in Paris. And so they have, it's very cool that they have 2 storylines going, right? They have, or 3, I guess. So they have the boy from when he's like 13 to 1945. They have the girl from when she's like 8 to 1945, right? All happening at the same time. And then they have this overarching story, which is where they actually meet. And so they're doing 1 chapter of the overarching story, and then they're doing 2 chapters, each one about them, and then like kind of like non-linearly telling the story. Really cool. I don't know if that would. I think that would probably be a great, probably TV adaptation. You could only really do 1 season on it, but I could definitely see like BBC kind of deal. Like in America, it probably wouldn't be that hot, but like in Europe, it would be like up there, right? Like the detective shows and stuff that come out of BBC are super cool. And some of them are just kind of like very artfully made, which doesn't happen as much in America, I don't think. So this would not be a huge hit here. But the book was amazing. I would definitely recommend that. That will definitely never become a TV adaptation, but I still think it would be really cool and would probably make a decent amount of money and would have like probably a pretty strong like little fan base.
Okay, questions?
Okay. So
it's updating, guys.
I just blew its mind.
Right. It's like I'm done. I
mine.
just can't do it now. Okay, so first my question for David. I have a question for Ben as well. But my first question for David is the characters that are in it. Are they the same characters throughout all 14 books? And like, is it over like a span of a year for each single book?
So yeah, they are in the span of a year. It's point A to point B, and they usually take place during winter.
Okay.
And so there's usually some random thing that ends up happening why it's in the winter. So the characters are there. It follows 3 main characters. Sponsoring Lenovo now, guys. It follows 3 main characters. That like they start out as peasants and they all go off and they add characters as they go off into their own branching stories.
Okay.
And so they add like a lot of characters. It's probably like 6 characters per thing. So you're following like 24 characters overall. They're like minor characters and different plot threads. And so it gets it's big, but it's like manageable because of the way it's simplistically told.
Okay.
So I think it's a really solid like in that regard. It's and then
Well, the main reason why I was asking is because something that I think that Narnia kind of ran into, and I mean, I guess they didn't really
Characters getting older.
but it's like those characters, if you still want them to be in movies, they have to be the age that they can. So like Harry Potter did very well in like 8 movies. Like he just aged, like, and that's kind of like I'm guessing how the books are. Is that he just kind of ages as the books go on.
So 1 year every book.
Exactly. So like same there for the movies is like they can just have like that consistency of it.
Yeah.
So that's the only
it's
question
same stuff
that I
like
have.
that. And
is like they would have to continually be like putting it out, and if they ever decide like we're done with this, it's like how are they gonna pick it back up?
Yeah,
So
I mean that's just the business like side of it, and you can legally if you have the capital and you start out with the first 3 films, which they can be like films on their own. Like the first book, the second book, and the third book could all be films within their own right, and so. But they're all interesting films, and I think the main selling point is it's familiar in that it's Lord of the Rings because you have like the peasant quest going to stop the Dark Lord, whatever type thing, go like do quests that's greater than them, but then it expands into something else that's more complex and they're in over their heads. So it goes from like something that's familiar to something that we don't see. It's like light versus dark, but it's like the light doesn't really win that often. It's very hard to see what happens. Oh no.
Light versus dark versus evil.
And then I'm trashing yours real quick.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Wait, Brandon had a question for me.
Okay,
I do have a question for you. Okay.
I was gonna trash. I was just gonna let Brandon choose.
Okay. Regarding your book, no, I guess it's not your book. But my question is, since it is kind of more political and a hot topic nowadays with like Nazi Germany and how there's certain stuff that's in there that like even in movies that they're not even like they took out like swastikas and all that kind of stuff that even represented Nazis. Do you think that it is even like possible that they could make that even since it's like such a big deal?
I think BBC would do it. I think BBC would not hesitate to put swastikas in it.
Okay, but do you think that it could be something that would reach over into America? Because that's kind of the thing.
I mean, sure. Here's the thing. Plenty of things reach over into America, but you still haven't seen them. Have you seen Downton Abbey?
No, but there's like things.
Have you seen Downton Abbey? Have you seen Sherlock? Have you seen like all these BBC shows which are very popular, but like y'all haven't seen them?
There's a couple of them that are more popular, but those ones are like the top ones. So, like Sherlock, I think everybody's heard of. Doctor Who, everybody's heard of. Downton Abbey, everybody's heard of. But then there's other ones that you've seen that I haven't heard of, like those detective ones you're talking about.
Selfridges and
exactly. I've never heard of that before. So would it like stay in that sense of like it's just British and it's successful, or would it be like?
I think the question here is like. So you're asking me to gauge like what the actual popularity would be?
Yeah, I guess.
That's what it boils down to. I don't know. Probably. I mean, I'm not saying it would like. I mean, have y'all read this book? Like, probably not. Even though it's like a pretty critically acclaimed book. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. Do I have it? I don't have it in the room right now. But so very great book, and like in like all kinds of like you can go to like local bookstores and they have it because it's that like good of a book, and like. I kind of like the local bookstore thing where they have to like have books that are actually good because they can't just like afford to like have trash out there.
That's true.
You know, so I'm not saying. Look, would y'all like hear the news about it and be like, yes, like I so want to see this? Probably not. Would y'all ever even watch it? I don't know.
I thought it sounded good. That's the thing. But it was just like my question wasn't its popularity as much, but instead the stuff that's in it. Like, would they be able to?
Oh yeah,
do it now?
It's not really that heavy. It's very like. It's got like maturity, but it's also childish. You know, it's from like a child perspective. Okay. So like mature themes, but it's not really very dark. I mean, like admittedly, it's during World War II.
Yeah.
And like occupied France and like in like the German army.
Okay.
So
I think I have my answer.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So I honestly think that either way, I would really like to see both of these things. I think I actually have a better grasp upon what Ben is saying and the thing that he is saying about his adaptation of what it would be, but I don't think that would be a better adaptation because of the world. And so one of the big things I think nowadays is, I do agree with David, is that fantasy is on the rise.
I don't think I deserve this L. I don't think I deserve this one.
I think that since there's 14 books and there's that much that you could do with it and those characters and the fact that it expands, I think that it would be a better adaptation. That's what the question says.
That's my argument for it not being good. That's my argument for it not being good is that it's so much.
But that's what you said too.
So
like
much. The Harry Potter movies started coming out before the book series was finished.
So how does that have to do with the adaptation?
So you got 14 books and you're like, we're gonna go through 14 books of this. I just don't think it happens.
I mean, I think if you're a big budget studio and you're looking to make money, I feel like
you can maybe put some together.
Yeah, if you're looking to like, because again,
work historically.
What do you mean by that?
When you start like,
that's true. Like,
yeah, you start like trying to mash up like different movies and trying to do too much.
I mean, you don't have to do too. Historically, no one's have been trying to do that. That's the thing. I think it's now just becoming an idea. That's now because it's like.
My question wasn't like which would I go see. It's what would be a better adaptation, and so that's why I'm saying
a better adaptation, or which one is gonna produce more like gross capital.
What's this like? What's the most?
What's the measurable here to me? The measurable to me is which one is like actually going to be good.
Well, here's the thing.
Which one's going to be good? Not which one's
trash on yours. You didn't even listen to mine.
Well, look, Brandon's already chosen you.
Here's the thing.
Brandon's already chosen
like,
you.
Oh, it has great prose, and there's these different storylines.
It's a great writer.
Together.
It's oh my god.
It's a great writer, but is that going to be a great film?
I would say so. It got like you can't just. David's got the. I'm not like competing to like steal it. I'm just saying it's a stupid choice.
Oh! Well, I disagree. Okay, guys, that's the end of the episode. We have some contentious.
You disagree. Comment down below.
If you disagree and you're,
if you're Ben Weir watching this on YouTube, comment down below.
Man, I'm gonna leave a nasty thumbs down on my own video.
Alright, we'll see you guys later.